Hi, happy October, and welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness Month at Tech on Purpose. Today, we officially launch our new video blog series titled Who's in Your Cloud? 21 Steps to Secure, Reliable, and Trusted Technology. I'm Lauren Lev, Marketing Manager for Tech on Purpose, and I would like to formally welcome our viewers, subscribers, and of course, our VIP cast who will be joining us throughout this series. With us today, we have Ivan Paynter and Patrick Chen from Intelisys. Welcome, guys.
Howdy.
From our friends at TBI, we have Jim Bowers.
Hello.
And a special thanks and warm welcome to Jay Reilly from ConnectWise. Jay, welcome to Who's in Your Cloud.
Thanks, Lauren. Glad to be here.
Yes. So lastly, but not least, we have our Tech on Purpose founder and CEO, Matt Tankersley.
Hi, everyone.
So what exactly is Who's in Your Cloud? That is a great question. So we created this video blog series to simplify a very complex conversation about cybersecurity and to help our prospects and clients better comprehend what are all the factors and simply chart a course to get started on the road to secure and reliable trusted technology. So Matt, is there anything that you would like to add on the what, why, or how of Who's in Your Cloud?
Great question, Lauren. First, I want to say you guys are all rock stars and you guys are critical partners with us every day in our entire service portfolio, not just cybersecurity. So thanks for joining us. And honestly, Lauren, you did a great job. Let me just say, besides what we hope is a very simple and highly educational series for our viewers, we're doing two particular things for those who sign up and follow along and learn, right? One is we're giving a free NIST cybersecurity assessment for anyone who wants to take the 30 minutes of time that it takes to sit down and walk through the questions with our team. Now that survey in and of itself is exceptionally valuable resource to help your organization rapidly identify what may be critical, high or medium areas of risk, along with remediation steps, right? And we thank our friends at ConnectWise for giving us a platform that does that. And so we'll hear more from Jay on that, hopefully here before we're done. Secondly, and I think even more valuable, is we've created this top Cyber 21 best security practices matrix. And we're going to chat more about that in each of the 23 episodes that we have coming down the pipe. But that's the tool that simplifies the conversation with a prioritized list, of best practices, best processes, and literally best products to get your organization quickly launched onto that road of secure, reliable, and trusted technology. So I think I already mentioned it's 23 episodes. We're going to be releasing an episode every Tuesday, and we're going to follow up each of those episodes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with some highlights on each of the solution partners that we have in each of those areas. So this should be an immersive, hopefully simple, hopefully enjoyable process for all of our viewers.
So let's shift for a second and take a deeper dive now into the background of our VIP cast. So let us know a little bit about your individual passion and purpose in the cybersecurity space. So to start us off, let's have Patrick Chen and Ivan Paynter. So yeah, again, will you both of us just tell us like what your cybersecurity stories are and what's up at Intelisys that partners like us here at Tech on Purpose need to know?
I'm Ivan Paynter. I'm the National Cybersecurity Specialist for Intelisys. I've been with Intelisys coming up on 3 years. Actually, I think 3 years this month. Prior to that, it was UUNet, MCI, WorldCom, Verizon Business, Verizon, Masergy, and then I'm really proud to be here at Intelisys. We help our partners and customers and suppliers all kind of come together in a convergence. So we pick the right solution for the correct problem and make sure we follow through with them and give them that white glove type treatment. How I got involved with security, I think I watched a movie and somebody was war dialing, and then the next thing you know, I was war dialing, and then I got with an organization called MCI, and I was doing digital cross connects, and one thing led to another, and I got a radio scanner, I think, for a birthday present, and I figured out that there was data on that, and I created a to B conversion, RS-232, and used my scanner to figure out how to break two-factor authentication, and that's how I got into cybersecurity, and I haven't left yet. My favorite is still, to this day, anything that comes across of its own free will and volition therefore radio signals. I love SSIDs, war walking, anything of that nature that is not going to get me into trouble. So leave the rest to you, Patrick.
That's awesome. Guys, if I had a propeller on my hat right now, it'd be flying off. That's just awesome.
That's Ivan. He is our specialist for a reason, and he's just absolutely amazing. And our partners, our suppliers just love him so much, and he brings a wealth of knowledge to our team for sure, and to Matt and Lauren.
Just having fun, you know that.
But hey, guys, no, thanks for having me as well. You know, I work with Ivan, like you said, and my name is Patrick Chen. I'm one of the solution engineers at Intelisys, and our worlds have been colliding. You know, my background historically has come very much from the networking and the network security side. I've worked with a lot of companies designing their network and helping configure their firewalls from the SMB space all the way to the large global enterprises. And then even before that, I had a big focus, focusing on infrastructure, helping ensure application performance is there, as well as I ran an MSP at some point. And that's actually the first time I really had a passion for security. And it happened a couple of years ago. You guys might remember CryptoLocker. When we were running MSP, our motto was always, let's make sure we patch everything. Let's make sure we put antivirus. Let's make sure we back up everything, right? To make sure our companies that they rely on us to stay in operations, they're well protected and their operations or operations are smooth. And then all of a sudden we walked in one day because we get a notice that their servers are down. We show up and everything's encrypted and we're thinking, what is going on, right? And we thought, no problem, no issues whatsoever. We'll just restore the servers, blow everything away, we'll be good. That didn't work. When we restored it, within a couple of hours, all the files got encrypted again. And we realized that something was different about this. And from then on, we saw more and more encrypting type ransomware. And so for me, that always stands out in my mind. That was one of the first big uh-ohs that I encountered on the security side. And ransomware has always been, a big passion of mine ever since. And I would say the next closest thing is something that Ivan and I were actually just talking about: distributed denial of service attacks. It kind of sits in a little Venn diagram of security and networking, and it's something that I deal with a lot. And I have a passion for that as well. So thanks for having us.
So next up, we have Jim Bowers from TBI, and TBI is actually one of our newest portfolio partners. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you very much. And man, I hate going after Patrick and Ivan. I mean, that's big shoes to follow. But I'm the cybersecurity architect at TBI. Very similar to Intelisys, we have an engineering team in several disciplines that enable our vendors, our clients, our partners to leverage us from a consultating business outcome perspective to dive deeper and more strategic in their clients on security or voice or infrastructure. I got a couple of things on why I got into security. I think the first one is I've always been the type to break down computers, build them back together, break them, build them. But more importantly, it was during my college days, I helped used to be a programmer, and I wrote some code that enabled some of the satellite providers to turn on all the channels. So they didn't really like that. So they actually used my code to help them strengthen their electronic control measures to enable people to not be able to break into the smart chip and put BB code on top of the chip to turn on the channels. From there, I had the pleasure of working with a little company called Take-Two Interactive that does Grand Theft Auto and helped them roll out their whole infrastructure for DDoS mitigation. I worked for a company called Arbor Networks. So that's really where I started to get into the security arena, is when DDoS attacks. And true story, I was sitting there on Christmas. I don't know if my son was more excited or I was more excited. So we got the latest Xbox. I was like, oh man, I'm ready to play some games. We went to hook it up, went to connect to Xbox Live, and nothing. And that was due to a DDoS attack. So that's really where I kind of pivoted from network into security. And from there, I think what I love about it is it's not a destination, it's a journey. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. We do a countermeasure, they change it, right? And it's constantly learning, and it's the most interesting space. And I think hopefully that through this video blog series, through the experts that you have here, or the evangelist. I like what Ivan said. I'm not really an expert because I'm always learning, that we can provide some value assets in conversations to the video blog viewers to enable them to strengthen their security posture. So really glad to be here. And thank you, Lauren, for including me in the video blog.
Of course, yes, we're happy to have you here. So lastly, but certainly not least, please help me in welcoming Jay Reilly from ConnectWise. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Hey, sorry, a round of applause. Oh, there we go. All right, a round of applause. There we go. All right, so I'm the guy that takes what all these really smart guys figure out behind the scenes and translate it back to English so we can actually understand what they're talking about. See, if you're on here today and you've just heard a bunch of acronyms and all kinds of terms you never heard of before, what you really want to know is how does this apply to your business? And how do we have that conversation? Now, look, I've got a technical background. Mine's not quite as probably as fancy as Ivan's, but I remember back in the mid 90s, we had a company that we were registering domain names back before it was really cool to do so. You can still get good names. And we broke the code for InfoSeek. So now I'm showing my age, and we figured out how to put any site in the top 2 spots on any set of keywords at InfoSeek. And we did it for about 9 months, and they finally called us and said, "What are you doing?" And we shared the code and figured out how we broke their algorithm. I never got back to that level again there, but my journey started there, right? Because as Jim mentioned, it's truly a journey. I spent most of my time in a technical career in the managed services space. I deal with protection, detection, and response. I actually enjoy the response side the most of it. When the house is burning down and you see people running out of the building, because of a cyber attack, I like to be the one helping run in to figure out what happened, because I want to understand, where we broke down, where we missed an opportunity to do the right thing. And we've all got the stories, the ransomware stories. I only had one client in my MSP days hit by a ransomware attack. And it was a very simple that they brute forced RDP, and literally, we had the backups. We had them back up and running in an hour. It wasn't the end of the world, but to me, that client never looked at me the same way. I was bruised at that point, and I set out to make sure that never happens again. And so we spent a lot of time working in the channel and with service providers to really isolate and identify what's important, what matters, and that we focus our attention on the assets that you care most about. When we start talking about security, there's too much to do. I'm sure that we're going to cover that in these series over the next year or so. There's so much going on. How do you figure out what to do first and where to start?
That's right.
And once you've identified, what the assets are and what you care about and what you need to run your business to continue, running your systems and your business, then you can focus the really smart people to show you how best to solve that. And it does. Matt talked about this. It starts out with assessing and understanding your risk. And I'm going to be the first to tell you, not all data is created equal, right? 5-year-old tax records are not as important as this week's payroll numbers or that big quote you're working on or whatever it is you're working on day in, day out. And so we'll cover a lot of this content, I'm sure, over the upcoming weeks to help you start to understand how to take all this really smart stuff these guys are talking about and translate it back into your business.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. Those are good points. So I just want to take a second to acknowledge and show gratitude that all that you guys do to help TOP and our peers around the globe to successfully deliver on the promise of secure, reliable, trusted technology. With that, Matt, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't know that I can follow any of that. And I told you these guys were rock stars, and we're just so grateful to have each and every one of you. I love, Jay, how you started your conversation about simplifying the conversation to speak in their language. And honestly, you started with that and you ended with something that clearly did that. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're gifted at that. And, that's something that we're all striving to do here. So I can tell you with the shared interest that I hear in the room, we might have to have an episode 24 out in Florida somewhere on the beach, because I need to see, Jim and Ivan putting some computers together and pull them apart, because I know y'all both share that passion.
Oh, hell yeah. Right on.
Oh, yeah. That's right on.
These are great stories, and I know and hope that you get a chance to share those with people often, and that translates into wisdom that they can use in their own businesses, right? So
All right, well, thanks, Matt. And if you guys are all ready, we're going to get down and dirty with the who and the what of our VIP cast. So, Jim, are you ready?
I think so.
You're in the hot seat.
Fire away.
You don't have to
Fire
try
away.
Ivan and Patrick this time.
Hey, the luck of the draw, or I guess it's whoever draws a shorter stick. Okay, Jim, so tell me what you think or what you see the value in having a series like this for Who's in Your Cloud. And if you also will share with us, what is the cybersecurity statistic that scares you the most?
Ooh, all right. So I think the value of a video blog series that you guys are doing is get some structure around what are the key pieces that an organization needs to put in place in a defense in depth approach or a layered approach to security. Because there is no silver bullet that's going to protect an organization, especially with what we're dealing with what I like to call the pandemic effect, right? The eroding of the perimeter, working from anywhere, working from home. That has put a lot of challenges on organizations in a lot of areas, right? At the end of the day, security solutions evolve around, in my opinion, three simple questions. It's where's your data and application? Who's accessing those data and applications, and where are they accessing them from, right? Those three pieces, if you look at the list that you guys have put together in the video blog, really address and fall back to one of those three main points, right? And it's always evolving. And what I think I like most about it is, and why this series is so beneficial, is it is a moving target. Vectors, attack vectors change. I just read something about Discord becoming an attack vector because gaming has become a big aspect. I'm going to send a text to a Discord. I'm going to launch it. It's going to go to a landing page. I'm going to put in something saying, hey, you can get the hack for Call of Duty. And at the end of the day, that hack is hacking you. So that landscape is constantly changing, and providing a foundation of what organizations can do via this video blog is a first great step to provide a strong security posture. What is the statistic that scares? There's actually two. Ransomware is going to be a $6 trillion a year industry by 2023. That scares the hell out of me. It's not because we're doing things good. It's because we're doing things bad. The second is there is going to be a ransomware attack every 11 seconds. Put that in perspective. So if you think that I'm a small to medium-sized business, I'm not going to get attacked. I make duct tape. No one wants my intellectual property rights. That's a misnomer. You have data that makes your business run, and that's valuable to you, and that's valuable to the threat actor. So those are the two statistics that really scare me the most.
Yes, absolutely. Let's pass the baton to the Intelisys team. So Patrick and Ivan, same questions. What do you think that people will find in the value of a series like this? And then what is the cybersecurity statistic that frightens you most?
So yeah, I think the way Matt and Lauren are setting up this series, it allows us to kind of break apart the different elements, the layers that Jim was talking about for cybersecurity, so we can really focus on each technology. And dive in a little bit deeper and explain to the customers and the listeners about why it's important, right? What we're seeing in that particular thing. And I think it's a fantastic way because a lot of times when we talk about cybersecurity, it's just like one big, throw up about, hey, what technology is out there, right? You just need cybersecurity, but where do people start, right? I think that's a big question a lot of people have. And I think this is going to do a great job in doing that. So I'm really excited to be a part of this. In terms of statistics, I think a lot of where my concern and where my wariness lies around security going forward actually mirrors Jim's a lot, So I don't want to use that specific statistic, but I will say, for me, when I think about security in general, right? A lot of times the damage that people talk about is the fact that there might be data loss, there might be financial loss, right? And that's all well important. But I think what scares me the most is the fact that healthcare organizations are being attacked more and more. And ransomware is still evolving constantly. Now, I don't have a specific number I can throw at you, but I will say this. We are now seeing situations where hospital life-saving equipment are being hit by ransomware, where it's down now, right? People that are relying on these machines to stay alive, and those machines are no longer working because of ransomware. And that scares me, right? The last thing I want is a situation where you think, I'm going to a hospital to get healthcare, and all of a sudden the machine that's supposed to be saving my life is inoperable. That scares me. Ivan, I don't know, what about you?
I have so much to say. Give me the microphone. I never shut up, right? So I want to piggyback on all of them. Patrick, you were spot on. The first woman that actually she passed away because she wasn't able to get surgery was in Germany. It was this past year, I believe it was sometime during the summer or so, where the hospital was under ransom, and it was unfortunate that she actually did pass. And that was actually the first death that we saw due to ransomware. I agree with Jim. I think it's actually great that they're doing this because I just kind of tripped into cybersecurity. I never really thought anything of it. Now all of a sudden it's like everybody wants us, right? It's like, oh baby, I'm going to write this ticket. But look, on the real side, I believe that Jim said it the best. There's a lot of people out there that believe that I don't have anything to worry about. Nobody wants my stuff. And I go around, I look at a lot of small companies. My wife runs one, and I'm like, you're going to get ransomed. And when you do, it's going to be really expensive to get out of it because I'm not cheap. And no matter what happens, that backup is not secure either. It's just not. But there's one that's even scarier than that. The ones that believe, well, I've got a firewall and I've got an AV or maybe an EDR, because God knows they don't have an XDR. But they have those things in place, and that's all they need. Mind you, they're also still running Windows 98, or maybe there's actually an NT out there somewhere. The fact that we are not staying to the same level of evolution as the bad guys. Patrick said it very well. As we evolve, or maybe Jim said it, as we evolve, they evolve. They're using, and I don't believe in AI, it's machine learning, but as we use AI or ML, they use AI or ML. Sometimes they have the lead, sometimes we do. It's a constant battle. For us, it's one time you get it wrong and that company is done. For them, they have all day to constantly hit at that door and to get in, right? So at the end of the day, to me, it's exciting. It's growth. I love what I do. I get goosebumps over it. But the sad part is this is all I do. So because it's so consuming, if you don't stay on top of all of it, we talked about Discord for a minute. Yeah, what a great way to hack into somebody. Now we have compromises that don't even have a payload, that can't even be identified anymore. How do you do that? Oh my gosh. There's so much out there that we have to constantly learn and be involved in and stay connected with. And to me, I think that is the fun part about cybersecurity. Yeah, I did say cybersecurity is fun. It is. I think when you really like it, Jim's having a great time. When you really like it and love it and immerse yourself into it, it's a good time. It really is. And on the last bit, Jim, I fall into remediations real quick. I love doing IR. It brings me back to my good old days at MCI, and it just started happening instantly. And it's like, oh, that's right, I don't do this anymore. But sometimes it's fun to be able to run those things. So for me, cybersecurity is something that's going to be here forever. We all have to be part of it. We all have to be vigilant. I want to leave with one other thing. It's no longer if and when, we all know that, but we all have to be vigilant. Every single one of us is the human firewall, and that's why this video blog is so important, to get that data out there. We all must be cognizant of what we do, and God knows what we're clicking on, right? That's it. A little verbose, but that's the bottom line.
So can I I'm going to break your stress. I just have one thing. I want to throw out one more statistic, and I want to come off of what Ivan said, is we are the weakest link. We are, and that's why threat actors go after endpoints. I like to call them starting points, because they know they can get through us. But I want to share one more statistic, and hopefully this will hit home. 240 plus days is the average time malware sits on an organization's infrastructure. Dwell time, that's right, dwell time. So let me put it in perspective. What happens, Lauren, if I came into your house for 240 nights, watched you sleep, watched your kids, sat on your couch, ate your food, and you found that out, what would you do? You would do everything possible. You put Ring doorbells, you put cameras, you put sensors. What this blog does is enables the viewers of this blog to know what to do to stop that malware or that person sitting in your home or your infrastructure for 240 plus days.
Yeah. How can you address it if you don't even know what's there?
I'm anxious to hear Jay's follow up on all of that. I do want to say, Ivan, it's funny, you talk about it being fun, and it can be, right? Especially for people that have constant spinning propellers, and the reality is that the thing that gets lost in there is it's not an option. This is not an option. It's not something to just think about as a pastime of fun. It's not an option. And I'll tell you, one of the things that scares me is we talk about this machine learning. We haven't even started talking about quantum computing yet. And the fact of that and what that's going to do to change the entire game is just, I got goosebumps even saying it, right? So yeah, there's a lot. We've only just begun. Well, let's leave it at that. Yeah. All right. So I know you want to give it over to Jay there.
Okay, so I can go about 19 different directions here with what you guys all set up. Like you teed up all these softballs I can go hit. I'm going to start with the fact that it's fun when you're the person coming into an incident who gets to solve the problem. It's not fun for the victim. Like think about the last time you saw a car crash on the side of the road. And all the cars on the other side of the road, they're slowing down and they're all looking to see what happened. But the person who just got out of the car, who just got rear-ended, just hit somebody, who just what was part of that car crash, is not thinking it's fun. Right? And unfortunately, cybersecurity incidents are exactly that. It's fun for the team to we're going to learn what happened and how we're going to fix it and defend against in the future. But the victim, the business owner, the team that was hit, it's a bad day or week or month. I think the average time to get back to normal after a cyber attack is 66 days. Not back to operation, but back to normal. So think about the impact of that and what that would mean to your business. But where I really wanted to go was the talent. One of the problems that we all face is that there's roughly 3.1 million unfilled cybersecurity positions worldwide.
Yep.
That's commercial positions, not military, not government. And there's only 2.8 million of us in the first place. So we're not going to be able to solve this problem anytime soon. So that's where cyber becomes a team sport. It takes all of us working together, sharing threat intelligence, learning from one another, learning from those of you that are on this call right now watching, what happened to you that we should know about so we can get the word out. So when I start thinking though about the impact and that deer in the headlights look that business owners have after they've been hit by a cyber attack.
Wow.
Okay, the FBI keeps stats of complaints, and I'm pretty sure that most of us don't call the FBI after every attack, but those that have, last year, the numbers from the Internet Crime Complaint Center was that the average complaint was $94,000. So a $94,000 loss where money got wired out inappropriately or sent inappropriately. That does not include the mitigation, the remediation, the forensics, the insurance, the whatever else has to happen behind the scenes. Just $94,000 in lost cash. Now, look, there are plenty of businesses that are probably going to listen in that, it would not be fun, but they'd be okay. But how many of you in a smaller business that might be listening in, $94,000 wire transfer going to the wrong place that you don't know about for 2 months would be a problem. And maybe you paid a vendor to the wrong account. The other one that jumps out at me is the average ransom payment right now is somewhere around $130,000. Again, excluding response, breach notification, compliance issues, legal fees, and reputation, the impact of your reputation, both with your clients and your colleagues, your employees, because they're the ones that are leaving after cyber attacks because they don't want to be associated with a business that knew better and didn't take action. So when you know all these things are going on, those are happening, at the end of the day, there's not enough talent, so we have to work together. We have to solve for the most common attacks that are causing financial harm to businesses, your size, whatever that size is. You're only going to solve that by assessing that information and ultimately by sharing and understanding these stories, because they're scary, but they're also true. And that means that we need to rethink exactly what that means in our business and our livelihood.
Absolutely.
Well, it's funny, Lauren, I'll just take the helm and move us into that next section that we talked about. But you said 19, and I swear, just you're touching the tip of those. Gave me another 19. We could just spend hours having these conversations, unfortunately. And what a brilliant segue to, I was going to share a little bit about the origin of this campaign, right? And it's ironic because it focuses on two areas that we've been talking about. And the first and foremost one is the failure to adopt simple best security practices. We had so many clients that we've been telling for multiple years what you said, Ivan, a little bit earlier, and it is factual. It is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And yet we're telling these folks day in and day out that, and they're just refusing to adopt these best security practices. We reached a point where we said, we love these guys. Some of them have been with us 10, 20 years. But there was a point where maybe it was time for divorce. And how do you have a nice divorce, right? And so we subsequent to that, had an opportunity to consider onboarding a client who had just been through a ransomware event. Now, theoretically, they were clean on the other end of that. And we had to ask ourselves a question at the same time we were asking the other question is, do we want to bring that into our environment? What's the risk to our existing client base and ourselves if we bring in a client that thinks they're clean and they're not, right? And so we ended up reverse engineering where they came from, what they didn't do that they wish they had done, what they ultimately did in the end. And that's how we came up with our top Cyber 21 best security practices. And interestingly enough, we've actually hopefully accomplished both missions. And we've turned that breakup, let's call it a breakup instead of a divorce. We created what we call the Security Awareness Declaration Matrix. And we're requiring all of our existing clients and new clients to sign this thing. If you want to do business with my company, you got to sign this thing. There's no obligation other than you have to fill it out. And we take our Cyber 21 and we say for each of these 21 things, starting with, let's talk about security awareness training, right? That's at the top of the list. Do you declare that you refuse to adopt security awareness training? Or do you declare that you already have it, or that you're in the process of adopting it? Or even better, if you don't, maybe you want TechOnPurpose to give you a quote. Here's 3 vendor solutions. Which one of the 3 would you like, or would you like to, see all 3? So it's interesting. All of these stories tie together, and I think I love what you said. I heard one guy say, in fact, I saw their website and it first insulted me. It said cybersecurity is a team sport. I mean, it really did. I'm like, man, that is a horrible way to look at that from the victim's perspective. But when you put it in the professional perspective that we're having with a very intentional goal of driving people to sustainable, secure, reliable, trusted technology, we can have a little fun and say those things. And the more we work together and the more we collaborate and share best practices, the better off we're going to all be. So, Lauren, I think we just go around the horn real quickly. We give our VIP cast the opportunity to share some last thoughts. And Jay, let me start with you, man. What are any final closing thoughts on this Who's in Your Cloud series? Any words of wisdoms, more importantly, that you have for viewers trying to simplify the complexity of cybersecurity?
I think one of the guys recommended before, think of it like your house. If you're worried about somebody breaking in your house, you're going to lock your doors, you're going to close your windows, you're going to get a doorbell camera, motion sensors, alarm system, those kinds of things. And who knows for sure if you need all of that, right? If all of your important stuff is, on your laptop, right? If they steal your TV, you don't care, but if they get your laptop, you might be thinking differently. So, working through it with the professionals that you have working, with you as a client, and or if you're looking for them, trust TechOnPurpose to help you guide that process to figuring out what matters most, and then look at how you protect it. Because as much as we'd like to say you should buy every single technology out there, you can't. It's not practical. So let's figure out what's appropriate for your business and then make sure that you've got that. Because if you're just trying to go to the grocery store and back, you're gonna need something different than if you're on the racetrack, trying to get around and run the fastest lap. So there's so many different ways to solve those issues, but ultimately Matt's team is going to help you solve those going forward. And of course, ConnectWise is here to help them, deliver the staffing and the capabilities necessary to keep an eye out, on your business 24/7.
Jay, you nailed it. Thanks so much. And we're grateful for your partnership. And let me reiterate, it's that assessment part, right? Let's assess where your risk is. And you guys are crucial in helping us to answer that question for our clients. And hopefully we got a lot of folks that are going to follow up and try to get that free assessment that we're given for the period that we're giving it. So Jay, we're so grateful for having you here. Thank you. Ivan and Pat, last thoughts on episode 0 of Who's in Your Cloud?
All right, Patrick. Well, I'm going to do my soliloquy here. There's so much to left. First of all, thank you all for having me. Patrick, thank you for kind me to being here, because he knows I hate doing anything because I feel like I'm obligated to do everything. What I want people to walk away with, what I want them to do, I want them to slow down. I want you to start thinking about what you're doing. I want you to pay attention to what you're doing. You cannot multitask. That's impossible. You have to pay attention to what you're clicking on. If you don't know where you're going on that third click, when you get to some link that's in the cloud or wherever, don't click on it. If you don't know who sent you that email, every day I get an email that says, dear dearest. You already know it's spam. I also want to write back to them and let me give you some better English. Let me help you out a little bit. So that's the first thing. Slow down. Pay attention to what you're doing, because a hack is a hack, but there's scams out there as well. And if we don't slow down and really pay attention and open up our eyes, you're going to miss it, and you're just going to fall into another lapse. There's something else that Jay said that I really want to pay attention to. Where you have your crowns, where you have your value-added merchandise. If it's in your laptop and somebody steals your TV, don't be fooled by that, because your television has access to your laptop via your modem or via your router. I'm not going to come in through the front door. You'll never see me through the router. I'm not even going to come in through the window. You won't see me. I'm going to come in through a radio wave that possibly came from your television, or I know what the password is because I stole your TV. So now I can gain access into your network. Everything that you have is connected in one form or fashion or another. Pay attention to what you're doing where. What information are you giving out? There's a reason why we have multi-factor authentication. Passwords are obsolete and we need to walk away from them. There's a lot of old technology out there that is trash. We haven't moved away from it yet, but we need to pay attention to it. Last bit, when you're in that car accident and it sucks for you, make sure you have that insurance when you're driving the other way, because there's a lot of folks that go, man, that's a bad accident. That's too bad. That's great. If you don't have that insurance, your butt's going to be hit from the rear next, okay? Pay attention.
That's right.
Well, gee, Jim, now I know what you're talking about, how much it sucks going after Ivan, man, and Jay as well. I think, I mean, obviously all these guys are experts on here, I'm so very thankful that Matt, you invited me to join and be on here as well. I will say, just to kind of piggyback off of what some of them have said, look, for all of you that's out here listening, it doesn't matter what size you are. Right. I shared before that I ran an MSP, and most of my customers back then were in the SMB, the medium-sized business space. And I've also worked with customers on the enterprise side. You're just as likely to get hit. The reality is, we hear about these like big time attacks out there that are targeted. Sony gets hit, targeted. Sure. That some people decided they wanted to make a name for themselves, spend a lot of time. But the reality is, the easiest way for them to make money, and that's why they're there, why they're doing this stuff, they're just casting a wide net and they're seeing what people will click on, right? Ivan likes to say, don't click on stuff, right? And it's because everybody, no matter how big of a company you are, how small of a company you are, you're clicking on things, right? You're curious, it's part of our human behavior.
Yep.
And the easiest way is just to get you guys to click on something, and that's it, right? And the other thing is, Ivan's exactly right. Everything's connected these days. We don't think about it, but we got so many devices all connected and exposed to the internet, and we don't know who's on there, right? I have thermostats right now. I have a thermometer for like an aquarium. My lawnmower, has Wi-Fi capabilities. I have no idea if something's on my lawnmower. I can't tell you right now, and that's probably a bad thing. That's a really bad thing, So yes, be vigilant. There's a lot of things we can do to protect ourselves, and obviously it's going to be a situation. It's a cost versus risk, right? And that's up to guys like Matt to be there working with you guys to really help you assess to decide what's most important, what's the biggest bang for your buck to protect you as much as possible.
Yep. Awesome. Jim, we're coming to you last year in just a second. Let me just piggyback on those thoughts for a second. We talked about statistics earlier, and Pat, kind of picking on what you said there in the middle. If I remember correctly, one of the stats I saw is that 85% of attacks are targeted at SMBs, right? And so, yeah, while the big fish out there, they're getting hit, and when you hit it, they get hit hard, and you hear about it. But if you got a business, we said it now 3 times, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And guys, I kid you not, last Friday, it was 4:45 in the afternoon, and I got a call from one of our clients going, something's happened. Somebody's on my computer, and I just lost $100,000. This was a small business, right? And he started to tell me about how he'd managed to get with the bank and get the $100,000 back, reset some passwords, and 2 hours later, it happened again, right? And this guy is one of those people that we talked about, right? They refuse to follow best practice in the adoption of just simple network infrastructure and advanced threat protection firewalls and those sorts of things. And it didn't have endpoint security. I mean, you talked about the guys that think that they can just get by with those 2 or 3 things, Ivan. This guy had none of it. And he's just begging us to show up on site at 5 p.m. on a Friday and help him out. And we did it. And come to find out, guess what he did? Ivan.
Cardi P?
He clicked on something. He clicked on something. Right? And guess what? He's got some network infrastructure now, and he's got some endpoint security, and we obviously took care of that. But he's in damage control mode with 6 figures here and there going in places that he didn't plan to. So let me switch over to Jim.
Good point too. You know, it's like I just wanted to touch a piggyback of what you just said. You know, it's about money. That's what ransomware is about. You know, for all the small businesses out there that are listening and thinking, I forget who said it, like, oh, they don't care about my data. They don't care about your data. You know, what they want to do is make sure your data is inaccessible so they can make your money, right? We're not on statistics anymore, but I do remember that happened recently. There was like one ransomware group recently that made so much money within a span of like 2 years, like lifetime money, where they never had to work again. And they said, you know what? We made so much money in such a short little amount of time that we're retiring, and then released all the keys for everything that have ever been infected by them and just disappeared from the rest of the world. It's about money.
They didn't disappear, but they okay.
Yeah. So Patrick, I'm going to take that one step further though. If you think about it from a business use case, you said that, okay, they want to deny access to your data. What does that mean to these business owners that are listening in today? Think about how long you could run your business with no access to your data. Could you go 5 days? How about 4, 2, 1? Most of us can't anymore because we need the computers and the data. Everything is in the cloud, which is ultimately why I think that this session is so valuable. And sorry, Jim, I didn't mean to jump on top of you, but
but I'm going to jump on top of Jay, because there's one thing, and I know we keep on going on here, and this is the best part about cybersecurity. I just love, because it just never ends. We didn't talk about once compliances, right? Not once. Now, just think about this. You own a small business and you have names and numbers or credit cards or whatever it is. If you break one compliancy, the hell with the ransom. Do you know what your compliancy charge is going to be? For Facebook, just charged, and they paid GDPR $240 million for Facebook. Good. I hope they get them again, because they can't stand Facebook. These compliancies are adding up, and they're putting small businesses out of business. So it's not just the ransoms anymore. Compliancies are massive too.
Yeah, it is. And Jim, we're going to switch over to you. And let me just tell you, stay tuned, because episode 19 and 20 of this series are focused on compliance fully, right? So there's a reason why they're on the top 21. Jim, thanks for being patient, and help us close out episode.
Oh, no, dude, this is great. I mean, you've got such a great panel. I think when we start talking, all of us feed off each other, and other things light bulb. And I agree. Compliancy with Ivan, I'm going to touch on that. Yes, that's a critical component. But what I also want to state is, just because if you're compliant doesn't mean you're secure, right?
Absolutely.
That's a good starting point. Second thing I want to build off of is what Patrick said. Don't fool yourself. It's a business. Threat actors are like salespeople. Everybody's going, what did you just say? Threat actors are like salespeople. Yes, they are. They'll go after the elephant, but 80% of their revenue is made off the small guys, right? So again, don't think that because you're an SMB, or don't think because you don't have intellectual property rights, you are not going to be a victim of a cyber attack. Second thing I want to I think it was Jay that said it, is the threat landscape has exploded. And historically, I worked at security did not share information. We always hear this, we're greater together than by ourselves. Threat actors share information left and right.
Yep.
Once one gets in, they share it, and I promise you another threat actor is going to try to get in on the back door. Historically, we haven't shared threat intel and telemetry. That has to change, right? And that has to change because we will be better together as one. But setting these foundations that you've laid out in this video blog series is a great foundation for organizations to follow. But more importantly, don't stop there. Leverage TechOnPurpose, because even though those are all critical, different pieces may be more critical to an individual business than other ones, right? How is your workforce? Where are they coming from? Are they in your office? You know, do you need zero trust network access? Do you need all these pieces? At the end of the day, you do, but other areas you could focus on within that list of 21. So I am so happy to be here, work with such great panelists in the industry, and this is a great opportunity, and it's a great opportunity for our video blog listeners on TechOnPurpose to follow the series. So thank you very much.
Awesome. I'm a little biased because I agree. You guys are the amazing rock stars that we have the pleasure of working with every day. Thank you for choosing to be part of our program. And Lauren, I'll just ask you to close this out, and then we'll all get ready for what's to come.
Yes, awesome. Well, Jay, Jim, Ivan, Patrick, and Matt, thank you guys. Thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge and expertise. And thank you to you guys, to all of our subscribers and viewers for following the Who's in Your Cloud journey, 21 steps to secure, reliable, and trusted technology. I'm Lauren Lev, TechOnPurpose Marketing Manager. Coming up next week, we have episode 1, Security Awareness Training. Find out why it's #1 on the top Cyber 21 best security practices. See you all next week.